Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. Today I'll be doing something a little different and something I've never done before, but I've made sure to do well. I don't believe that there are many War Thunder YouTubers doing this either. Today I'll be doing a direct comparison between the B-17E and the Me-264, being that both are heavy bombers that sit at 4.7 BR in realistic. I'll have gameplay footage and go over everything relevant, including stats in the game and stats about the planes in real life that should help for you and I to come to a determination as to which plane is superior, and if you have yet to decide which to buy for whatever reason, to help you decide where to spend your silver lions. At the end of this, I'll have my verdict and name the winner. Let me know what you guys think of this type of video, and at the end, what you guys think of the winner. That said, let's get into it. So, to start, I'll go over all the relevant stats, including even the stats that aren't mentioned in the stat card but have a huge impact as to how these planes perform. To start, with speed, the B-17E has a top speed of 510 kilometers per hour at 7,680 meters, whereas the Me-264 has a slightly higher top speed of 519 kilometers per hour at 6,000 meters. For defensive armament, the B-17E has 7 turrets. 3 are double 12.7mm guns, you have 3 single 12.7mm guns, and there is a single 7.62 LMG at the nose of the plane, with the guns primarily being focused towards the back but providing overall protection for the plane. For the 264, however, there are 6 turrets, and they are all single gun turrets. There are 3 MG-151 cannons, which are 20mm, and there are also 3 MG-131 13mm MGs. All but one of these guns are focused on the back and to the sides of the plane. And for wingspan, this is actually fairly important. The B-17E has approximately a 104-foot wingspan, or around 31.62 meters, and these are shorter and thicker wings that are more durable and actually have a greater wing area than the 264. That said, the 264 has a 141-foot wingspan, or about 43 meters, which are longer, thinner wings that are also easier to destroy. It's about a 40% larger wingspan over the B-17, which itself is already a fairly large aircraft. For rate of climb, the B-17E has a 7.2 meter per second rate with no ordnance, with a 5.0 meter per second rate of climb at max load. Interestingly though, this is only with the 12 by 500 pound bomb load as opposed to the 6 times 1,000 pound bomb load. Even though they weigh the same, it is technically a slightly lower rate of climb with the 500 pound bombs. For the 264, the rate of climb is 3.5 meters per second empty and 1.3 meters per second at full load. Bear in mind, this is not entirely accurate, and I'll go over that in just a moment. The repair cost on the B-17E is 7,283 silver lions, and on the Me-264, it's 8,560 silver lions. This is in realistic and with full upgrades on both planes. And for armor, otherwise known as survivability, the B-17E has plenty of it, with 7 6.35mm armor plates plus a single thick piece of bulletproof glass on the tail, with the plates being dispersed around guns and pilots. On the Me-264, however, it only has a single 7mm thick armored seat, which is specifically for the pilot. For turn time, something that heavy bombers are not known for, the B-17E has 36 seconds when empty and 39.3 seconds when full. The Me-264, however, has 37 seconds when empty and 40.8 seconds when full, but when playing, and I'll go over this in a moment, it feels quite a bit different, and that the Me-264 might have a significant advantage. And now for the all-important bomb load. The B-17E has a max loadout of 6,000 pounds, or around 2,721 kilograms of bombs that either come in 12 by 500 pound bombs or 6 by 1,000 pound bombs. On the Me-264, you have a 9,590 pound loadout, or around 4,350 kilograms of bombs, which comes in 2 by 1,800 kilogram bombs with also 3 by 250 kilogram bombs. You can also have 4 times 1,000 kilogram bombs as well, if you so choose. It's just a little bit lighter of a loadout. And finally, between the repair cost and the max bomb load of each plane, the B-17E has a 1.21 silver lion at max repair per pound of bomb load, whereas the Me-264 has 0.89 silver lions at max repair per pound of bomb load, and I got those numbers by taking the max repair cost and dividing it by the max bomb load in pounds per each plane. And now for gameplay, these planes function very similarly, with the exception that the B-17E is quite a bit tougher and has better defensive armament cover, while the Me-264 is more fragile and has stronger guns and a larger loadout, with the guns having more dead zones and less armor to protect the gunners. To do well with either, climb as high and as fast as you can. This task will be easier with the B-17E as it theoretically has a higher rate of climb, but will be difficult in either. In my test flights, I've actually clocked a rate of climb of around 5.5 meters per second without WPE at full bomb load with the 264, and around a 7.5 meter per second rate of climb with the B-17. But this is with engines at 90%, as 100% will quickly lead to overheating. Realistically, I feel the 264 has a much higher rate of climb when paired with WPE or WEP, as you can easily get to 6,500 meters by the time the B-17E hits 5,750 or 6,000 meters. If you have the time, a side climb might be best for the B-17 if you hope to survive, considering the fighters it faces are more dangerous than the fighters the Me-264 might face, as well as a seeming skill disparity between Allied and Axis pilots. For instance, not once have I died to enemy action during the making of this video while using the 264, and only once was I attacked by a single plane. On the other hand, I died all but one time to enemy fighters while flying the B-17E. Additionally, it seems to climb much more slowly than the 264 despite its stat card. At this point, assuming the relative safety of being at a high altitude, the 264 maintains a substantial advantage, carrying over 50% more bomb load than the B-17E, despite being at the same BR. Further, the cannons, assuming they hit, should provide a greater deterrent against enemy fighters than the 50s on the B-17, although these 50s will provide a greater blanket of fire that should guarantee more hits on enemies trailing you. This said, once you actually hit your target or targets, and assuming that you're still able to fly in relatively decent condition, the Me-262 will be surprisingly agile when you take your turn back home. Despite it being substantially larger than the B-17, it flies with substantially more grace. On the other hand, with the agility of the B-17, it's like trying to turn a dump truck around all while it's moving at 200 miles per hour. From there, you have a much tougher time landing with the Me-264, as it is absolutely gigantic, whereas the B-17 is much more manageable. This said, let's check off all the boxes where each plane is better than the other. For bomb load, the Me-264 clearly, as it can carry 50% more bomb load than the B-17E. For speed, it's pretty inconclusive for top speed, though the 264 carries an acceleration advantage. That will definitely help. For defensive armament, I'd say it's inconclusive. The 264 is less likely to hit enemies, but can kill them far easier, while the B-17 has the opposite issue. For toughness, the B-17. Both in-game and real life, the B-17 is renowned for its toughness. It'll last longer than the Me-264 when attacked. For enemies, I give this to the Me-264. Let's face it, when facing Axis planes with all of their cannons, especially against the Doras, it can be ridiculously difficult, whereas Allied planes were oftentimes more MG focused, especially around this BR. This one is without a doubt in the 264's favor. And for overall, I'd say the Me-264 wins the competition between these two planes and by a decent margin, with the main reason being that it carries a much larger bomb load and can do so at a relatively cheap cost to operate. As mentioned before, if you lose both planes and take into account the max repair cost versus the max loadout weight for both planes, the 264 comes in at 0.89 silver lions per pound of bomb load to repair, whereas the B-17 is 1.21 silver lions per pound of max bomb load. Though it might end up costing you more to repair, it'll earn you far more silver lions in return, as well as RP, and thus makes it a much more effective aircraft at the same BR. Not only this, but between its better real rate of climb and lack of cannon-based enemies, your chances of survival are likely much greater in the 264 than they ever would be in the B-17E. This all said, tell me what you guys think. Who should win this fight? The 264 or the venerable B-17E? Comment below with your thoughts and let me know if I should continue this type of video but with other vehicles. That said, thanks again for watching, guys. As always, it means a ton to me. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Either way, thanks again for watching, everyone, and be excellent to each other. Take care, everyone. See you all on the other side.